What's up, guys? It's Jeremy Conn. It's the Lowdown. It's all brought to you by Pickdawgz.com. Please click the like and subscribe button. That helps us out. And if you click the notification button to let you know every time one of these gets posted. Where to start? Inner Circle. I talk about this all the time. If you text that number, the words Inner Circle, it's for my concrete Inner Circle. It's a little bit more for high rollers. It's a rated system play. I absolutely destroyed it on Sunday. All my top plays hit. I had my best bet was the Chiefs. My second favorite play was the Falcons. I like the Jags over, which I still can't believe they missed the field goal at the end because the number was all over the place throughout the week. So depending on when you bought or when you bet or where you place your wager, you could have won, pushed, or lost. Obviously, those are the only three outcomes. But yeah, so hit that. I loved Phoenix. The Mercury on Sunday. It was one of my favorite plays. As I said, the only things I really missed were the Vikings. I had them, and they crapped the bed. And then, what was the other one? Oh, I had the Buccaneers. They cost me. So, and then there were plenty of opportunities when you watch these games for things not to go awry, things to go the right way, and we just didn't have it happen. So, really nice day for me on Sunday. Saturday was a winning day, but it was just okay. Friday night was nice as I had. So it's been a really good weekend. It is funny, too, because I always feel like this. I think I was talking about this with Mark Zeno, that people that buy picks a lot of times will wait for you to get hot and then try to chase it then. Sometimes it's just about being with the guy you trust or your favorite capper and riding it out and getting the good with the bad, because there's always going to be bad times. And this isn't me making excuses. I'm coming off a good weekend. So, but there's always going to be those down times where you're like, God bless it, nothing goes right. So, and as I'm looking at my record, I still sit here and I go, yeah, I got a nice winning percentage in the NFL, but I'm still pissed about some of those close losses. And as I've been saying with my best bets, I know I started off 0-2, and it's probably what you expect somebody to say when they're 0-2. Now's the time to get on. But now I'm 2-2, work back and getting this back over the 500 number and then getting us a winning year with my best bets. That's something where, again, if you're not purchasing anything, if you check it out, I think it's definitely a good buy for the year. You're going to make money on it. I've only lost once. All right, where to go? We have 4 baseball games we're going to talk about. Just to let you guys know, on Monday Night Football, because there were only 2 games going on, I was on the Broncos and Bengals under. I liked Chase Brown's rushing yards over and Cortland Sutton under receptions. And in the Dolphins-Jets game, I took the over. I went back and forth on these games, and it was something where, again, I think I said this the other day, maybe I said it about a different slate. If those 2 games were on a regular slate, I'm probably not betting these games, which is such an awful thing to say. Maybe it's just a great night to take the night off. I still put in a ton of work. I trust my work. I trust my research. This is where it's led me. I thought all week I was going to be on the Jets, and I honestly thought all week I might take the Broncos, but I'm not. I'm staying away from it. As far as the Jets game goes, I gave out 2 free props with either bet if you purchased it on Monday night. My props in the Jets game were Garrett Wilson over rushing yards and Jalen Waddle under, I think it was 4.5 receptions. So it'll be a little bit of a shorter one. I was hoping we did this, we'd have the lines out and the projected pitching matchups, but here's where the gamesmanship comes in with a lot of these teams. I have at least one projected starter for each game and only one game with both starters. We do have some serious weather impacts, so it's good that you checked in here because I think we do have a couple of edges that we can take a look at. So let's just get into it. As I said, this one might be a little bit shorter. We'll have a longer one tomorrow when we start mixing some football games and other things to talk about. Let's start it off with the Padres at the Cubs. 78 degrees, the wind's blowing it at 8 miles an hour. Right now I'm only seeing Nick Pivetta as a listed starter. So it makes me wonder who the Cubs are going to go with. Is this another spot where we see Boyd or Shota? I'd have to go back and look and see, if anybody's pitching on short rest, then it's definitely something to take a look at, because I don't care who you are. These pitchers that go on short rest, it is not the same. They struggle. They give up more hard contact. They do things out of the norm. Let's say it's a pitcher that doesn't walk anybody. They end up walking players. So something to take a look at. I do think the under here is a good play, and I'm probably going to lean under in 3 of these games. And then there's one I guess we got to figure out who the starter is going to be. But, yeah, under here. with the wind blowing in at Wrigley, I mean, it's a huge bump. And Pavetta can get strikeouts. He's a fly ball pitcher, so I'm not concerned about the wind blowing in and how that's going to affect him. And who else? I guess with the other side of it, it just matters who's with the Cubs and who they decide to go with. Because Jameson Taillon just pitched. Matt Boyd, Shota Imanaga. Whom I'm missing somebody that maybe one of the youngsters. Would they go with Fortin? I think it's got to be one of the vets. My assumption is it's Matt Boyd, a lefty against the Padres. But we shall see. But I would lean towards the under in this game. And I did skip over the Tigers and the Guardians because that's going to be my free play because I just think this spot is too good to pass up. So I'm going to give it out. It'll be a play for me. As I always say, it's a freemium. So this will be a premium play for me when I get to it at the very end. Now, Red Sox at the Yankees. Wind, again, blowing in at 8 miles an hour. It's 72 degrees. Max Fried versus Garrett Crochet. Went back and forth with this. I'm still going to lean under here. Maybe even a lean towards the Yankees with a bit more experience from Max Fried. Garrett Crochet is just fantastic. And this is us kind of like speculating, right? Like this is his first postseason game. Is this a guy that you want to bet on? Clearly, he could just come out and just absolutely shove it and just say, screw you, Yankees. Here's 7 innings. Do what you want with it. You're not hitting squat. He's that type of pitcher. I don't think that happens, and I've said this before when it comes to Yankee series, not just playoff series, but regular season series. This is so stupid. I can't. This isn't a gambling thing, but this is how I feel, and it's actually shown this year to be fairly true. If the first game goes over, they all go over. If the first game goes under, they all go under. I don't know what it is about Yankees-Red Sox series where either the side or total has dominated the entire series. Either the Yankees win all 3, Red Sox win all 3, they all go over. And I know like that's not a perfect scenario, and I'm kind of talking out of my ass here, but that's just how it feels. And again, if you go back to this year, I think the first 3 series they faced, it all played true that either one of the teams won all 3 games or they all went over, all went under, whatever. But this is one spot where, yeah, I would lean towards the Yankees just because of the experience with Max Fried. I do think the safer play could be the under. I do want to dive into this more. That's why I didn't make this my free play. It's more of a lean just to sit here and talk about. And because we're going to talk about all the games, I may not have a strong feel right now for it. There's more work to be done once I see the starting pitchers. And I look at some other stuff, the totals, where the line's going, because all that stuff is important to me. But with this game in particular, I do think it's a nice spot for an underplay because of the pitching matchup. The one concern for me would be is if Crochet, the nerves get to him, he's not ready for this moment. And I'm not saying that's how he's going to be every time he comes out. It's his first playoff start. So I do think there's something to be said for that. Now, again, my lean being towards the under and possibly towards the Yankees there as well. Reds at the Dodgers, 70 degrees, winds blowing out at 5 miles an hour. This is the only one with the wind slightly blowing out. I do have Hunter Green listed for the Reds. I love this Dodgers lefty lineup. I'm already going to tell you, I don't know who's pitching for the Dodgers, whether it's they trot out Shohei. Glasnow just pitched this weekend. I didn't see how far he went into the game, though, to see when he could possibly be ready. But the Dodgers, their entire rotation has just been beat up all year long. Could this be a Blake Snell spot? Could this be... I mean, sure, it could be any one of these guys. Emmett Sheehan. Yeah, I mean, it's tough to sit here and look at the Dodgers pitching that they had at the beginning of the year and some of the injuries they had and now where they're at. Maybe it's a Yamamoto spot. We just have to wait and see who they decide to throw out there. But it is 70 degrees. It's warmer there. I would lean towards the over in this matchup. Hunter Green has been absolutely fantastic. Or I would lean towards the Dodgers here. And I know, again, if I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth with what I'm leaning towards, I'll have official plays up. Not on all the games. I'm not going to bet every single game, but I'll find the best spots. And I think we have one of them in the last game, and that's without even knowing who the other pitcher is on the other side. But with Hunter Green, again, I love this lefty lineup for the Dodgers whenever they're facing righties, including these hard throwers, because you've got guys that hit for average and guys that hit for power and guys that do both in that lineup. And up top, you gotta weather the top 5 and hope you can get through the bottom portion of that lineup and not leave a bunch of guys on base for when it turns over back to Shohei again. So I would look at the Dodgers and possibly the over here, but I don't have a great feel for this game until I find out who's pitching for the Dodgers. And even then, I think it's just one of those spots where it's like, do I want to just eat the chalk with the Dodgers because they're the better team? The Dodgers they've been very good, especially at home this year, as expected. but they haven't been anywhere near as good as they should be with the roster they have. That's the Dave Roberts effect. I think he sucks, man. I just think he sucks ass, and he's just, again, he's a manager. That's exactly what he is. He's just there, like, what are we doing now? How many pitches he throw? He just looks so foolish out there and just makes dumb decisions. But that's just me. It's easy to say that over here, sitting in front of a camera and talking about it. All right, last game. This is going to be my freemium. Detroit at Cleveland. It is kind of funny that in the American League we get 2 rivalry series with division rivals. Out west, it's flopped a little bit or switched with the Reds playing the Dodgers instead of the Reds Cubs, and the Padres playing the Cubs instead of Padres Dodgers, of course. The two, as you look at the bye weeks, Milwaukee got one, Toronto, they got the byes. And I think Seattle got a bye. Who else? Who's the other team that I'm missing? Oh, and the Phillies. Phillies, Milwaukee, Seattle, and Toronto got byes. And I think it leads to a couple of interesting matchups. The only good thing for me is the Red Sox or Yankees, one of them is going to knock off the other one, and then I get to root against the other team for the rest of the playoffs. If the Yankees, Blue Jays, and Red Sox can all lose, I'd be happy. I hate all those teams. But Detroit and Cleveland, Tarek Skubal is going to go for the Tigers. Remember, he just had that 99-mile-an-hour fastball hit David Fry right in the face. He did reach out to him afterwards, and it wasn't intentional. You could see his reaction. But what type of effect does that have on a pitcher? The only thing that concerns me about this game, the wind is blowing in at 10 to 11 miles an hour, and it looks as the game goes on, it's getting stronger. So wind blowing straight in, it's going to nullify some of those home runs. I say this all the time when we talk about Wrigley and the weather there. In a game-type environment like this, the only way we lose the under here is if we get nickel and dimed, meaning walks, singles, doubles, walk, single, that type of crap, error. Because I'm assuming this total is going to be right around 6.5, maybe even lower with the wind blowing in, and that's going to catch a lot of people's eyes, like 6. It wouldn't shock me if it got to 6. Now, again, I can't sit here and say that exactly without knowing who Cleveland's pitching. But if I'm being brutally honest, like all of Cleveland's pitchers are similar from the standpoint of I think they're all good, and only a couple of them have an opportunity to be great. Like Gavin Williams could be special, but he still hits a lot of bats. He walks some guys. The whip's got to come down, but he does strike out a ton. If you're looking at Ciccone, Cantillo, you can go through their rotation. Tanner Bybee. It's a bunch of who's who of okay, but it's been good enough for them to do what they're doing. They're a light-hitting team. They have no problem playing small ball. And as I said, if I'm the Guardians, I want to throw some lefties at this Tigers team if I can, just because I like this lineup a lot less when Kerry Carpenter's out of it. But the Tigers have fallen apart down the stretch. So here's what I'm going to say, is I have no problem with you just rolling with the Guardians here because the Tigers totally, and I mean totally shit the bed down the stretch. So lucky to get in. Now, there's the two thought processes here. Okay, as a contrarian, I've said this before, I love when teams limp into the playoffs because those are usually the teams I'm going to bet on. Baseball is a little bit different because I don't like it. You could sit here and say, okay, fresh start. We're coming in. Everybody's 0-0. It doesn't matter what happened. We're in the playoffs, and we're facing somebody we're familiar with. Very well could happen. You could also have the continuation of what had been going on for the past six weeks. God, I keep getting the hiccups on this damn thing. And that would be the Tigers just sucking it up. They stunk up the joint, and there's no other way to describe it, whether you want to look at starting pitching. They traded for Charlie Morton and had to release him. That was the other thing. I didn't even get to talk about that. I made the mistake. I didn't even see that Charlie Morton had got released when we were projecting a starter for the Tigers. I got to work and we're talking about it, and one of my co-hosts was like, didn't Morton get released? I was like, where did you see that? Because, I'm the one that's on top of all that stuff. I'm usually the one that's telling everybody, did you see what happened? Did you see this? Did you see that? I don't know how I missed it. But, yeah, he ended up with the Braves somehow, some way, and hopefully that's the swan song for good old Charlie Morton. But I think the under's the play here. It's going to be my freemium. I can already tell you I'm going to be betting on this with the way that the weather is. And I know the total's going to be low and people are going to think it's way too low. And I love those spots. I'm the guy that's always betting over on the totals of 12 and under on the totals of 6. I don't want to say always, but it feels that way. So it feels that way a lot when I see an advantage. And, we've had games in Wrigley where it's like the total 7 and they score 5 runs in the first 2 innings. And you're like, well, I'm done. And then you check the end of the game, and it's still 4-1 because the weather is that great. And I'm telling you right now, with this Cleveland game, the weather is fantastic. You got the wind blowing in at Wrigley, the wind blowing in New York, the wind blowing in Cleveland. So the under will be my free play. That will be a premium play for me. I mean, I'm going to wait until everything comes out, but I'm 99.9% certain I'm going to be on that side of it. You always get those feels, and you always want to leave that 0.1% in case it's not that time where it's like, yeah, I spoke too soon. I don't think I'm speaking too soon here. All right, guys, appreciate everything you're doing and checking this out. Please click that like and subscribe button. I come back every day. I'm still going to, I don't know, I got to check tomorrow morning to see if my weather algorithm is going to do the playoffs or not. We've talked about this. I can't remember if it does or doesn't. I want to say it still does. Like, we can go through, and if that's the case, I'll post everything. But right now, I don't even need the algorithm to tell you that great pitching weather in every single stadium except for the Dodgers and Reds, and that's not even bad pitching weather. I wouldn't even call it good hitting weather. It's just indifferent. Wind's blowing out slightly. So lots of great spots. We'll get into some football tomorrow, start previewing some of the college football slate and the NFL slate, throw in some random games so just we have something to talk about here every single day. And when there's daily games, we'll preview those as well. So appreciate you guys watching this. Definitely check out everything over at pickdawgz.com. Lots of great premium plays over there if you guys are interested in buying picks. I tell people all the time. I try to at least let them know. $79.99, you get a 3-day pass. If you buy it on Friday, you get Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If you buy it Saturday morning, you get Saturday, Sunday, Monday. That's all the football games. And I think it's your best buy if you are purchasing picks. Nothing wrong if you guys are just coming by. You want to try to gain some information, make fun of me, whatever. I did have an amazing time at this concert this weekend. The one thing I took away from it, which I can't wait to talk about on my radio show, is Lenny Kravitz might be the coolest effing person I think I've ever seen, and he was amazing on stage. And I think it's one of those things where you're watching someone that you're like, oh, okay, yeah, heard he's a good guitar player. He's got great stage presence. Let's go check him out. You can't take your eyes off of him. I felt super gay. That guy was so mesmerizing. I'm sitting there watching him. Every time he talked, he could say the corniest thing, and it would still sound cool coming out of his mouth. Am I just developing a man crush on Lenny Kravitz or something? Whatever, man. Still, some people would argue with me that that's the gayest thing that's ever come out of my mouth. That's a terrible thing to say, too. Oh, man. But, yeah, like watching the shows, there were so many good ones. If you guys are music fans. If you're not, you can probably shut it off right now. But OAR was awesome, and I think they're kind of behind putting this whole thing on. If you guys aren't familiar with another local band that has some big hits, Crazy Game of Poker, Peace. I mean, you can look it up. They were awesome. Green Day was super cool. I mean, there was just a lot of good bands, but Lenny Kravitz was the one that just kind of caught me off guard. I don't know if it's like going to the movies and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm going to go see this movie, and you're not sure how funny it's going to be, and it just kind of just slaps you in the face, and you're laughing your ass off. And then it lifts it up even more because you weren't expecting that. Maybe that's what it is with Lenny Kravitz. But even if you don't like his music, the funniest thing too was he's got two guitar players that are, ironically like him, and they're your prototypical rockers. Okay, so the one guy's wearing a see-through like mesh shirt, and you can see his abs. And I don't know that he lifts, but I think the fact that these guys are just smoking and doing drugs and eating nothing and being on stage and playing. I'm not saying that's what everybody's doing, but you get what I'm saying. They get these skinny rockers with their skinny jeans. The other guy had to be one of the funniest effing things I've ever seen is he wore a vest. Like a vest that you would wear with a suit. Not like, hey, Marty McFly wearing the red fluffy vest. Like an actual vest. Like he could have worn a cummerbund and it would have been the same thing, But so he has this vest with the buttons buttoned here. I don't know, about 4 songs in, all of a sudden that vest just couldn't hold on anymore. It had to come unbuttoned. And I know this for a fact. That dude had to unbutton it. Like, hey, they're not getting enough of these abs. Let me show them some more. And look, hats off to him for having great abs. But I was sitting there going, man, that poor guy. That damn vest just won't stay shut. Like, it just was one of the more ridiculous things. But, your prototypical rockers, these guys can wear whatever they want. And you're like, I don't understand fashion to begin with. Because when I see somebody wearing something, I'm like, how did you even think about putting that together? And you're pulling it off. Meanwhile, I'm over here in a hoodie, T-shirts, and probably some cargo shorts, trying to sneak minis or whatever into the concerts. But yeah, anyway, good time. Lenny Kravitz was awesome. Lots of great bands. I ran into some people that I knew, which was kind of cool. But happy to be back and getting back onto the day-to-day scene and watching some football. It was weird missing a ton of football. All right, guys, I'm getting out. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll go over all the games that we have for the next day and hopefully give out some winners here. Hope you guys win some cash. I'll see you tomorrow.